Welcome to episode 58 of Meet the GIMP. My name is Rolf Steinort and I'm recording this in Bremen, northern Germany. And today I'm going the risk to start with an image from Ansel Adams and showing you later some of mine. So there will be some heavy contrasts here. Contrast is the right word, the right term here. When Adams made this image, he knew exactly where the grays, or how the grays in his image should work out afterwards. I haven't found an image that is available as public domain on the net and in my book about Ansel Adams, so I can't compare. This stuff in the web is always of very low quality compared to a good print, or even better, of course, the original. Well, I can't afford the original, I fear, but let's go out from this image here. If you look here on the left side of this ruler, there is the web code, the hexadecimal code of the color below this little dot below the ruler. It's the only tool I have just at the moment to inspect this image. Well, I should have loaded it into GIMP and then used the color picker, but okay, let's do it this way. When I pull over to here, to this gap here between, this thing made with a plow here, then you see this is very dark, but it's not zero. There's a spot of 0, and then it's a little bit brighter and so on. But I think this area here in the image, these stripes, Adams will have wanted them really black, or at least part of them really black. And here the back of this man, the back of his jacket, that should have been very dark but with a bit of detail. And if we go over to here, you see that the numbers are a bit higher than in this here, in this gap here. If I go over to the jacket of the man here, you see it's white. FFFF is fully white, and I doubt that the original would be brilliantly white here. This should have had some texture in it. So Adams made decisions on where to put what amount of darkness and what amount of light. And he could do this, set these zones in his image, because he had developed in a lot of hours and a lot of trying a system, the zone system, that allowed him to set the colors or set the gray tones before shooting, just by measuring them, measuring the amount of light, and setting his exposure so that it would cover his image as he wanted it. The rest was done later in the darkroom, but he had to do it right in the camera first. Adams did a lot of research. First he measured the contrast in scenes, and he found that in most cases the total contrast in a scene that he wanted to photograph fit into 11 steps, or into 11 stops, into 11 f-stops. So between the black and the white in an image there are 10 stops of aperture or exposure. Adams then fine-tuned his film processing that he got these zones here. And from each of these zones, if we start here with zone 1, zone 0 is, well, it's undetermined because there is no light up to a certain level of light. From zone 1 to zone 2, there is the double amount of light, from 2 to 3 equally. And so we have here 4 times more light than here. 8 times more light, 16 times, again double, 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 and here double and more, because white and whiter, there's no difference. And here you see also that we are a bit tight with 8-bit again. Let's say here this is 1 bit, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So with 8 bits we are covering only 8 zones out of his 11 zones, or we lose 2 zones in this range here. So again, an indication we need 16 bits, and I'm sure they will come. Adams could look at a scene and say, I want this thing there, the back of this worker, it should be just barely visible, just barely have structure. I want to have that in zone 2. And I want to have the mountains in zone 5 to 7 and the sky in zone 8 to 9. Before we can do such things, we have to learn more about our gear. We have to learn about how our camera reacts to different contrasts, to different exposures, and I found out that my D200 doesn't react like film. There is definitely a different reaction to different light than film does under the Adams system. So we can't use Adams directly, but we have to adapt to it. For testing my camera, I switched off the matrix metering, the computer-assisted metering, and resorted to the old-fashioned center-based metering. And then I shot a series of images of this white door here. The first one was exposed right. And then I shot a series of images, each time halving the exposure time, and so halving the amount of light that came onto the sensor. That is, closing down one stop. After I've reached the last time that my camera can manage, an 8,000th of a second, I went the other way and I opened up. I made the exposure times longer and doubled them each time. So I covered a lot of range, but not enough. The dynamic range is greater than I thought. I have to repeat that, and I'll give you the results next time. But first, let's look at the image that I shot with the right exposure. It's medium gray. And that's because the metering in your camera sees the world at 18% gray as medium gray, 18% reflection of the light. And the camera sees everything in that light. If you don't believe me, just make this experiment. Take a black cloth, something black t-shirt or so, and a white one. Just lay them into the same light, take your camera and go near to the fabric. If you can, switch off the computer-assisted exposure meter and switch to one of the old-fashioned, but I think it should work also with matrix metering, or how that is called in your camera brand. If you shoot the black and the white fabric, you will be very surprised by the outcome of the two images. I think this is enough for a shallow introduction into the zone system, and I'll cover that a bit more next week. In one of the last shows, I kicked off the making of a script that I called then the Meaningful Black Script. The name has changed just now. It's now the Zone Adjustment Tool. But I'll show you how to use that in a moment. And in the meantime, we have an EXIF information script which just lets you put some information below the image. You see here ISO, aperture, exposure, and what else you need. And we have a Laszlo Dragon effect script. This one takes an image like this here and applies some magic to it, and then you have stronger saturation and well, a more velvia look. And we have a script that can do split toning, and this is the original image, and later this one here split toned. I'll put links to the scripts into the show notes for this episode. You find them on meetthegimp.org. Up to now, the downloads, the attachments in the forum, you find the forum at forum.meetthegimp.org. They are only available for registered users. I'm not sure if I should change that, but well, give me your feedback about that. Write me at info@meetthegimp.org or write it into the comments of this blog entry. This is an image I shot at Street Circus Festival here in Bremen, La Strada. And this is Pascal Loiseau on top of her, well, it's like a bit like a hamster wheel, a bit larger, and she performs in it, on it, and has a show about waiting for her boyfriend, who, well, never arrives, but that's a different story. I remember the scene a little bit different, more contrasty and a bit warmer. Let's see what we can do about it. First I open a dialog that I don't have in my tabs here. I go to File, Dialogues. Oh, this is out of your view here. But if you open a dialog in the main window, you'll see here a dotted line, and if you click on that line, the dialog will detach and be movable on the screen and keep open. So if you need something, you can just rip it off and just have it open all the time. And here in this dialogues, and here in this dialogue, there is a point, sample points. Just open that, close this, and pull the sample points over to here. Well, I should make this a permanent guest here in my rack. I just pull the sample points onto, put them here onto this tabs here, and now I have them here. I activate a sample point by pressing Control, pressing the mouse button here on the ruler, and just pull it out. It's basically the same like the guidelines here, and I just move it over here and drop it here. So you see here, this color is this. I know this was white. This is her skirt. And imagine the wheel is the next thing that will happen here after she has talked to a friend here. She will try to get this skirt on while running on top of this wheel. Oh, well, she managed to do it. So, but you see here, this white skirt is not white, it is bluish. So, just not the thing we want. And on the other hand, this guy here has black hairs. I take another sample point and pull it over to here. You see here, it's 40, 30, 26. Let's look, perhaps we find a darker spot there even. Now I want to have the darkest spot of his hair, just keeping structure. And on my screen I found that this is at let's say 15 or so. 15 on all, decimal 15 on all 3 RGB channels. And I want the brightest spot of her skirt or her clothes be 247, just not white, just a little bit of white. And now I'll try to do that. Let's first look for the dark spot in his hair. I use the threshold tool, like last time I did this, and pull the black ruler here fully to the left side. And now I pull the white slider down until there are still some white spots in his hair. Okay, I think these are good. And now I pull up the other slider and you see there is the area where the darkness starts, and I think I'll put my black point, not the real black point. The real black point will be 0 as it has been, but I will put the stuff where I want to have details into this area here. So just pulling this up here, and now you see I have only some pixels here in the area where the amount of light is right, and I'll take that color for my script. Let's turn down the opacity a bit, and now I'll zoom into the hairs here and we'll have a look. Forgetting my black point here, I just move the color picker over to this area here, or better, this area here, and for that I have to select the color picker tool, and then this changes to move me here, and I think this is right here. So now we have here white, and if I switch off this layer, then you see here we're here in a fairly dark area, and back to this here we have our value. And now I'll do the same for the skirt. Doubling the layer, using the threshold tool, and now I'll do this the other way around. I'll just pull this up until there is only a little bit left, and pull this down because I don't want to have the pure white in, not down pullable. Okay, I don't want to have pure white here. Okay, it's a bit darker than I thought it would be. So I'll take this here as my points. Again, select the color picker, move now this point over to here. I think that's not the right one. Check if it has turned white. It hasn't. Now it's white. And switching off the layer, and you see here we are on this part where the light is reflected, and checking here, still this bluish tone. Now I have set my 2 points in the image which I want to replace. I want to have something very dark here and blackish, and something white, but not pure white, not 255 here. And I have these 2 colors here ready for picking them, and now I just go into Filters, Enhance, Zone Adjustment, and here I have a dialog where I can pick my colors. I start with pick the dark color and use here the color picker. This opens the normal color selection dialog, and I just pick this color here. Okay. Then I want to replace it I said something about 15, and let's just go up here. 15. I have intensified here the value of the color in the HSV system. I could have turned up these here too, or I could have typed in this here. And I want to have the light color replaced, this here, replaced with, this is already there. I want to work on the dark area and on the light area. I could switch here to dark only, light only, and I want to work on all three channels. I don't really know if this will stay in the dialog here. Now just press OK, and here is the image. And you see here I have made I have made perfectly bullshit here, because I have worked on my black layer. And now to the script. Just learned that I have to select the background first, and then I go to Filters, Enhance, and Zone Adjustment. Sorry, it's out of the image here. Then I pick the dark color. It's already picked because I just had to do this. It has already been picked because I just had to redo this. But I open here the sample points, click on this color picker, and select my dark color here. I want to replace this with 15. And I pick the light color, the same. I take the color picker and just sample this area here. I don't fuss with the image. And I want to replace it with the standard 247, the just not really white. I want to work on dark and light part of the curve. I could have used only the dark, these two here, replace this with this, or only the light, replace this with this. And I want to work on all three channels. Oh, this has to be changed in channel, not layer. I don't know if this is of any use. Perhaps we'll kick it out. So now just press OK, and here it is. If I go to the samples again, you see here, this is 247 on all channels. This is 15 on all channels, like I wanted. And if you look at the image, I'll let you compare here. The color cast is gone. We have a warm image with a lot more contrast in it. This green copper here looks very good. The red brick of our town hall looks good too. And if we zoom into the image, we'll see not only that I haven't got this perfectly sharp, but that we have here a fine structure going from here, from really dark to good visible, and with a lot of detail here. And the same with the skirt, which I got perfectly sharp. You see here, this is nearly really white, and but it still has structure. If you think this effect is too strong, just mix it with the level below and reduce the opacity. But I think it's fine. With 100% it's fine. I think this is a great tool I want to say thank you to all the guys who helped with it, and I think we will improve it. Oh well, I see you don't believe the stuff I told about the white and black fabric turning out medium gray. Well, then I have to show you. Here, my camera. It's empty. And now I'll just take an image of both fabrics. Have a look. White and black, as it should be. And now I shoot the white fabric 125th with f4, and now the black fabric 1/8 of a second f4. Both is aperture priority. Camera was set to A. Perhaps this is visible. I switch the light on. Oh, you have to believe me. Okay, let's have a look. Here, this is the last one, the black, and this is the white one. Here are both. Even if you are shooting in matrix mode, the camera has no chance to see if such a scene is black, white, or medium gray. And the metering just assumes that your scene is medium gray. I think this was it for this week. I'm happy about feedback at the blog at meetthegimp.org or as an email at info@meetthegimp.org, or if you turn up at the forum at forum.meetthegimp.org. You'll find the links to the scripts I've mentioned or used today in the show notes at meetthegimp.org for this show. And with that, I say goodbye up to next week.
photocastnetwork.com, your photography resource in the podosphere. photocastnetwork.com